forget what you've heard about Vietnam. Let's find out what it's really like.
Imagine an economy that, in the span of a few decades, catapulted from one of the poorest in Asia to a growth rate of 8.02% in 2022, outpacing even the giants like India and China. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. It's the reality of Vietnam. With a GDP per capita that increased nearly tenfold from under $300 in the 1980s to $2,800 in 2020.
It is the Lamont Sanford of expat relocation.
Would you listen to me, Pop? Now we can make ourselves a nice little profit on these things. I bought them at an auction. Now nobody else would bid on them.
Nobody would bid on them but an undertaker and a dummy. And you ain't no undertaker.
You big dummy. Teaching you the ESL business like I'm your big older uncle who smacks you in your head because you do stupid things. I'm here today to answer the question that I know all you youngins is looking to learn is about. And that is, what's it like teaching the Englishes in the Vung Tau? So Vung Tau is a city that's very near to Saigon, and I call it like Saigon's Coney Island. I mean, it's not a very clean beach. It's got some issues with pollution, but mostly it's not too bad. It's kind of like the nearest nice place to Saigon where the air quality is mostly good, and there's a couple of like things you can do, like there's some hikes you can do, and you know, it's got some beaches even though they're not super clean, but it does have them. It's not the worst place to live. Like, you can earn a living out here and there is jobs, but the market does not look anything like Saigon. Now, that being said, Ba Ria province, Dong Nai, they're building the new airport out in Dong Nai. Ba Ria is blowing up. Vung Tau is seeing crazy growth. They're redoing the entire Bai Sao. The back beach area is being completely developed. So this is all being absorbed into the greater Ho Chi Minh City. And that's what makes Vung Tau kind of unique, is it's a kind of nice place that's not too far from the economic center of the country, that's also growing economically, so the people in the area do have money to where they can afford teachers and foreign teachers, right? And there's a large training center industry. So we're going to try to delve into a little bit what it's like teaching in Vung Tau. We got here tonight Uncle Paul. You all know Uncle Paul. He's like your father, the one who doesn't ever call you or is not really interested in your life. But before we talk to Uncle Paul, I want to remind you that if you get sick in a developing country, it's helpful to have health insurance. That's why this video is sponsored by Safety Wing. What's up, guys? I'm in Mysore, India. I'm chilling with this cow here. If this cow were to give me mad cow disease, I would want to have health insurance. And if you're going to live as an expat, you're going to want to have health insurance too. He's either biting me or licking me. He's licking me. Aw, hello.
You're so cute.
See, if I get sick from touching this cow, I want to have health insurance, right? So Safety Wing is a good health insurance for people like me who travel around the world and live in interesting places. I'm covered. If I get sick in India, at least I got health insurance. Safety Wing is designed for people who move around and who travel, so it's the perfect health insurance for people who live our kind of lifestyle. First, for those of you who have never seen the channel and have never met Uncle Paul, can you just give them a little bit of a background on yourself and your teaching experience here in Asia? Let's include everywhere in Asia.
I started in China in 2011, and I was in China from 2011 to 2020. Did all kinds of stuff. Taught English, science, math. I taught science and math in the U.S. I was in China. I taught English, science, math, various schools. COVID came, stuck in the U.S. for a couple years. Then I met my boy over here, Mr. Moondog Spot. I was watching some Moondog Spot the other night. You're funny as shit. And I was stuck there for a couple years. I mean, I should say stuck. I was good to see my family and everything, but by a year or two, it got to be a little much. Hooked up with you, trying to get back into Asia. And we both came out to Cambodia about the same time. Worked there for a bit. Moved to Vietnam, Bun Ma Thuột in Vietnam. Taught English there. I taught English and math in Cambodia. I taught English in Bun Ma Thuột. Bun Ma Thuột was a little too small. Wasn't a lot of good housing. Went back to Cambodia and went through the most profound dry duster of employment seeking in my life.
Right.
I found nothing. I had a great time there. I always do. Cambodia's my favorite in Asia right now by far. But there's no work. Got to work. So I talked to my homeboy here, and he said, "Hey, come out to Vung Tau. Let's work out here." And I mean, you know, he pushes Ho Chi Minh a lot. There's a lot of jobs in Ho Chi Minh, but
yeah,
it's a little extreme for me. Well, came out to Vung Tau. Nice place to live. It was a little slow to start, but got some work though. A few months later, I'm working at a school I really like, and I'm pretty happy. I go to Phnom Penh. I go to Phnom Penh maybe every 3 months right now. I might go more frequently down the road, as I get some more money built up and like that. But pretty laid back life here,
I like Vung Tau because when I was a Ho Chi Minh City public school teacher, the greatest educator that Ho Chi Minh City public schools has ever seen, playing throw the sticky ball at the word with the youngins, right? The greatest educator, like international standard, right? And they were getting it all for a very, very reasonable price with all this right here, right? So I would need to get away from the city because I would get like pneumonia from pollution or some kind of like tropical virus that goes around, and or you just get burnt out on the air pollution and just the traffic and the rain and the craziness. And this was the nearest nice place you could come to kind of get away. And so I've watched Vung Tau develop. I've watched it go from being like a pretty small city where there was always like a pocket of expats that were like Australians or Brits, some Americans, but generally people who were here from like the war, like the older generation. And then there was like a Russian pocket. And then it was mostly just Vietnamese coming from Saigon for the weekend. It was like, or teachers from Saigon for the weekend. So people would come out here for that purpose. So I always had a soft spot for this town. And I could say after living here, I see some positives to it and I also see some negatives to it. It's certainly not a perfect place, but it is a place where you can make better money than in most beach towns. So there are opportunities in places like Phan Rang because of what they're doing up there with development. There's a few in Central Vietnam. Again, not really popular hip cities that everyone wants to be in, but like small provincial coastal places where there are either industry or some kind of project that's happening. So the opportunities do exist all over the country for jobs. But VT is kind of nice. We'll call it VT. Vung Tau. VT is good because you can be in Saigon in 2.5 hours and a bus could cost you like $8 to $12.
Less than that even.
Less even, right?
It's a little bit. It's about 2 hours in the dot, which is good.
2 hours.
And a pretty comfortable ride, except for the one I had last time. But
I find when I take it at night, it's very quick. Like I've taken it late, like at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I get out here so fast. But I've also been stuck in Dong Nai, and that's where the new airport's going. So Vung Tau is strategic. It's going to be pretty close to the new airport, not like right up on it, but much closer than it is now. And they just did the first domestic flight out of the new terminal in Dong Nai. So this is really going to be interesting to watch. Like the next time I come back to Vietnam, am I going to be flying into the new terminal or into good old Tan Son Nhat in Tan Phu, right? Interesting. I don't know. It's not Tan Phu. It's in Tan Binh. Yeah, Tan Binh and Tan Phu is at the bottom. I used to teach in public schools right below the Tan Son Nhat airport. So that whole area over there, those little back alleys, there's so many schools there. And it's so dense and so hectic and the traffic gets so hectic that I would get really burned out. And whenever I couldn't take it, this is where I would come. So that's the context for Vung Tau. I want to ask you, compared to other places that you've taught, how do you feel about this place compared to Bun Mao Tut, compared to China? I want to hear what you think about the cost of living, this type of stuff.
Okay, I mean, we'll start with basic living. Right? Cost of living is Vietnam's the lowest I've ever lived in. Now you guys were in India, said it's lower there. So to put it in perspective, China is cheaper than the U.S. Cambodia is cheaper than China. Vietnam's cheaper than Cambodia. I mean, just coming out of Cambodia, I think my expenses are like cut right in half. My rent is half. The food is half. Their electricity is way cheaper. I'm an AC guy. Homeboy here doesn't like AC. He's an anti-AC guy, which is cool, but he gets the pool and the sauna. I like AC. I had that shit pumping 24/7. You could hang meat in my fucking bedroom. So it's good to have cheap AC. So in comparison to that, in Vung Tau in particular, the weather is going to be more moderate than other parts of Vietnam because you're on the coast. Phnom Penh is a furnace in the summer. It's a furnace. You don't go outside. 10 to 4, forget about it. You don't go outside. Saigon, same thing, I think. I've been there.
It's not as hot as Cambodia, but it's up there because they use more, the Vietnamese plant more trees than Cambodia, but it's just so big, man. It's so big and it's still hot.
It's hot. So the weather here is a bit more moderate. It's a medium-sized town. It's Vung Tau was pretty small, quaint and nice. Had nice things about it, but it was just a little too small for what I wanted. There was really nowhere to live. I mean, it was like 6 months of advanced rent for an empty, unfurnished shithole there. That's really what you're looking at for an apartment. Vung Tau apartments that are available, there are nice apartments available here for a good price. Very solid. Some good, some bad, but there are solid ones here. And Jay knows.
I have a bunch of different brokers out here. Guys, if you work with us for moving out to Vietnam for any of our employment packages or any of our retirement packages, we connect you to people for real estate, to people for other services. So what we would do is we would have service providers fighting over you to get you the better deal. So we do know good people in the industry, but we want to make sure that you're getting like the most offers and the most competitive offers so that you can choose what's going to be the best and try to get it at the best price.
Yeah, like right now, I mean, I live in, I haven't made the leap of getting an apartment yet. I'm kind of looking around to find something that fits, but I live in an area right now. I live in a very nice, like, hotel room, basically. I mean, a very not nice, not luxurious, but very clean, very comfortable, very well located to work. I walk to work 5 minutes. I'm paying like $260 a month, right? Which is nice. But there are apartments here for that much. Sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on where you are in the neighborhood, you know. But the place I'm in right now, one thing I like about it is there's a cluster of schools down there. It's a great, if you're looking to find some teaching work, get into some schools, start working, it's a great little area, you know, because, I mean, some people don't mind like taking motorbikes all over town and piecing a schedule together that way. I don't like doing that. I want to be close to work. I want to like, walk to work for, 5, 10, 15 minutes, even 20 is okay, and come home. It's going to be getting hot soon too, so it's important to me.
I gotta tell you guys, in terms of infrastructure, Vung Tau has like pretty decent sidewalks. Like some of them are jacked up. I mean, it's Vietnam, but compared to in other places that I've been, like I was alluding to earlier, Tan Binh, Tan Phu, like near to the airport in Saigon, like those areas can be very dense, very crowded, very narrow alleyways with high density and high traffic. And then you come out here and it's pretty quiet, even though it is becoming a bigger city. Tan Phu, Vung Tau is becoming a big city, you know, but it still retains that kind of laid back sort of provincial vibe where life is still pretty slow, even though there's more traffic now than there was years ago, and there's more luxury towers than there was years ago. It still has a cool vibe. It's got some couple interesting things to do. There's the Jesus Hill is pretty cool. The lighthouse is great for exercise, has nice views. The monastery is very nice. Big Buddha that you can walk up to, very cool. I've not gone to the theme park. It's not really my kind of thing, but if it is your kind of thing, they have a small theme park here at the top of the hill. There's a lot of development projects. Real estate's very cheap. But in terms of teaching English, it's not going to be a place where you're going to really fat bankroll out here. It's a bit of the kind of place where you might need to work at a couple different places to fill out your schedule or start to build something on your own on the side. And a lot of the apartments here, if you find apartments where there's a lot of Vietnamese people, they'll have groups on Zalo, or the Vietnamese call it Yalo. And Yalo is basically like the WeChat for Vietnam. And if you get into those Yalo groups, you can get a lot of one-on-one work. People are always looking for teachers, but unfortunately not all the projects have large Vietnamese populations. You want to look for certain projects in the city that have a large amount of Vietnamese. It's stuff we can advise you on, and we can help you try to structure your own one-on-one business if you're thinking about coming out here and doing some teaching, but also having something on the side. It's something we could help you guys, at least with a picture of how we've seen other people be successful. What do you think about the money situation here? Can you bank here? Like for your lifestyle? Because again, guys, you can downgrade, you can have a cheap lifestyle, you can go up. Tell us what your vision of a lifestyle here. Is it possible for you to save money?
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so tell us what you look for in your life.
Like in my personal
Like your
life?
day-to-day, what you want from your city. When you roll out your bed, what do you want from your apartment? What do you want from your food? Just so people can see if they can relate to you or not.
Oh, yeah, sure, dude. I live alone. As long as I have a clean room with a nice TV, I like to play some PlayStation. I like to watch some movies. Clean bathroom, some furniture, comfortable bed, whole thing. I mean, no, it's right. Really, something like this, but simpler. Mm-hmm. You're living with two people. I like to have food. I like to have a good variety of food close. The spot I'm in is very well centrally located. Like, I've got a local, really super local supermarket where you can get your basics super cheap here. I got a noodle shop. I got a co-op mart. I got Circle K there. I got my work over here. I've got the nighttime grill joints and smoothies down here. It's like
Very convenient.
I like that. The quality of the delivery system is not what it was in Cambo, for sure.
Saigon's better.
You know, but that's why I try to find a place where I don't have to go far for that shit. I don't like to make like to make journeys out of getting my basics. So that's kind of what I look for. I do want to speak to infrastructure before I forget, because you mentioned that. The infrastructure here is good. And you appreciate that after you've been in Phnom Penh, after you've been in Saigon. Like, there's traffic lights, crosswalks, a lot of sidewalk space. It's a very comfortable place to get around. Not all cities are like that. There's a lot of shade, you know. Like where I am, there's not as many trees as other places, but you can go place to place in a good amount of shade, which I like to do, because if it's midday, I can't have midday sun. It'll cook my brain and my no hair. So the infrastructure is really good. It's clean, pretty clean. I would say for sure, compared to Saigon, it's clean. I'd say it's as clean as Buenaventura. Yeah, being close to work. I like walking to work. I'm not big on the motorbike taxis. I'll take them, but I like the bulk of my work to be in walking distance. Those are my basics. I don't party here, right? I go to Phnom Penh to party, but as far as like just having a chill life, working, banking, you talk about saving money, I'll get to that. Banging some money, living simple, living relaxed, it's not bad. The money you can make per hour here is very good for the cost of living. It seems to me, you can put all your eggs into one basket in one job and, get a full-time job and do that. But it's not a bad idea to either. Like, I kind of like what I'm doing. I went into a neighborhood that's got a lot of schools, and I do a little part-time work here and there. And it gives me a chance to test them out and see, okay, which school would I be willing to go all in with? And which schools do I really, all the way down to which schools do I just want to phase out of my schedule? And as it is right now, I've got a school that I really like. I got one I don't like, one I haven't tried yet, and I got one that I'm getting a lot of hours with. And I'm hoping to go all the way with them eventually. They've been fantastic, everything I want in a job.
And that's what it would look more like out here, where it's like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. Whereas in Saigon, it's like if the public schools are open, bam, 20 hours, bam, 25 hours. If you want to do training center at night, it's available 5 days a week, every night. You will always find somebody looking for a white foreigner from a native-speaking country somewhere within the city. If you have a passport from like the UK, the US, Ireland, any of these places, it would be very easy, especially if you're younger and you're physically fit, or in Uncle Paul's case where he has a master's degree and he's a proper teacher.
Are you trying to say I'm not young and physically fit?
Well, but you're also credentialed, right? He doesn't need to necessarily work
just fucking playing
in the lower tier schools. He can if he wants to, because sometimes those schools give you less responsibility. So it's not always about working for the big brand name out here. Sometimes when you work for a place, you have to factor in things like cost of living, lifestyle. So for example, Saigon, you can really bank that dough, but everything is going to cost a lot more, especially if you want to be near the center. If you don't mind being on the outskirts of Saigon, out into Dong Nai, Bien Hoa, or like anywhere out in like Bin Yung, like any of these kind of up-and-coming provincial areas with their little industrial cities, like you definitely can get money and you can get jobs in these places. It just depends on the lifestyle you're looking for, and you can live very cheaply. It's just, if you want to eat Western food every day, you want to go to the clubs, you want to have like Western services, Western products, in Saigon, it's not so cheap to be in areas where there's a lot of that, or trendy, cool areas, It is cheap, compared to the West, but when you're, working as a teacher, you do have to factor in that inflation does affect countries like Vietnam. And when you get outside of cities like Saigon, you may earn a lot less money here. But if you're willing to live in hotels or keep your cost of living to a very low amount, or just even sign a lease but get a really inexpensive lease, like, guys, you can, I think, in my opinion, you can squeeze a better life out of Vung Tau than in Saigon.
Well, I've done it both ways. And, to me, it's like I said, I would rather live in a place where I can bank cash and then go and party every 6 weeks somewhere, because, there was a time, I've had times in Asia where like I was working and partying at the same time a lot, and, sooner or later one's going to affect the other. Mm-hmm. This option here, I can live cheap, I can make money, and then, just again, a simple, alcohol, drink some cheap vodka, play a little PlayStation, then every 6 weeks go to Phnom Penh and party it up. But to live in Phnom Penh, in a party area, you blow through cash, blow through. I don't need to, go balls to the wall every single day. And besides, diminishing returns are going to kill the pleasure from it anyway. For me, every 6 weeks is go to Saigon, go to Phnom Penh. And then the rest of the time, you just grind it out, live a simple life, treat your body good, make some money, and it's balance, good balance.
That's very good advice.
Yeah.
And I can tell you just from firsthand experience, if you're looking to party, Vung Tau is not the place.
Not really, no.
It's not.
No.
Unless you're like talking about playing pool with the grumpy old guys. I think for the most part, if you're young and you're single and you're trying to be in the clubs or you're trying to get up in business, you're going to want to be in Ho Chi Minh City. But that doesn't mean that you can't make business contacts out here, because Vung Tau is on the rise. It's growing. It's developing. One of the reasons why I stayed at the building I stay in, even though I hate it, is because it has a sauna, and a sauna can be a great place to do business networking. I'll speak some Vietnamese to people. It'll warm up a conversation. The next thing you know, I'm networking. So there are these opportunities here in Vung Tau. It's just that in Saigon, they're exponentially bigger and more international.
It's not, and I might interject for a minute. One thing I've thought about lately is it's not just opportunity, it's mentality. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time in Saigon, but I have spent some time in Phnom Penh, a little time in Saigon. There's much more of an anything goes Wild West mentality. This area feels a bit conservative.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you don't want to be running. I mean, if you're running hose all the time doing drugs, it's probably going to catch up with you in a place like this.
Yeah, you want to kind of keep a low profile.
Get a low profile here.
Not be too crazy, because you are close to Saigon, so the people are very tolerant.
Yeah, and you could still like get away with it, but I'd just be way more comfortable partying in Saigon or Phnom Penh. That's why I do it how I do it.
I've seen a lot of teachers come out here who are on drugs.
Oh yeah.
I've seen a few nutty ones.
Oh yeah.
We'll get Misha's story for you guys as well, of course, coming soon. But I think it's better to separate the two interviews, because the two perspectives will be very different.
I think a big difference would be here you'd be remembered, there you'll be forgotten. You could wander down the street in Saigon or Phnom Penh in your underwear, high, shouting at yourself. 2 weeks later, people won't even remember your face.
2 kilometers, not even a kilometer later, they won't.
They won't even remember your face. Here you'd be remembered.
They'll remember you.
They'll remember you here,
But
that
here,
kind of
there's
thing.
almost no police here, but it's because there's not really that much a need for them to be everywhere. Like, it's a pretty civilized, like, chill place. Like,
it's a good place to chill and make some money and just treat yourself well and relax.
Yeah,
and you're close to partying.
And if you're trying to go hard, like Wolf of Wall Street, like hard networking, hard living, hard partying, then this is not the place. But if you're looking for something chill, I think this is an okay option. Can you tell them about the types of people you've seen so far? Who are the types of people that are teaching out here? Is there a lot of native speakers? Is there a lot of people with degrees?
The schools I've been into in Vung Tau, you mean, right? I've seen all kinds, dude. I've seen men, women, old, young. Yeah, I've seen a pretty good variety. I've seen more older teachers than I expected, guys older than me who are doing well with it. I think, like another thing I was talking about as far as testing the schools out and kind of spreading the eggs to some different baskets to start is a lot of it depends on fit. How well does this fit? How well does the school fit you? How well do you fit them? And not all teaching jobs are created equal. That's for damn true. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it comes down to fit. And I don't think, the thing with Vung Tau is like, there's not nearly the pool of foreigners here to teach that there is there.
It's different.
They have people to fill the jobs, but they have a lot of schools, like they'll have a couple full-timers, but they're always going to need to fill slots. They always need like that gun for hire who can do that. And you can get more hours as time goes on, the more reliable you are.
If you're willing to show that you're going to stick around, you'll eventually have like whatever schedule you want.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's just more of like, if you're trying to come out here and right away land into a very stable situation, then you really were better off going to like Dong Nai or Saigon or Bin Yung or one of these places where there's an industrial city that's developing and there's hella money pumping into it. All right, now Uncle Paul, tell us about the money. Tell us about what someone can expect. And again, guys, bear in mind, Uncle Paul is a white native speaker from a strong nationality with a master's degree.
I think the credentials and experience I have will definitely help get me in the door more often. but I don't think I'm getting any extra pay from it. But from the different gigs I've worked so far, or that I've interviewed for, I've seen hourly rates anywhere between 420,000 an hour up to 500,000 an hour dong. But a lot of schools pay about 18. So what I'm starting to see is anybody paying under 18 bucks an hour is on the low side. So not that those jobs aren't worth doing, but you know, sometimes you never know what they're going to expect. It might be more, it might be less. Some schools, they want you to type up slides and do plans. I'm not into that anymore. You know, enough of that. You know, so the school I work for now, I don't do any of that stuff. Everything's right there for you, but they pay $450.
And to be honest, guys, that's not a bad salary. Like, even in Saigon, you could get a salary like that. I'd say the main difference with Saigon is just the access to the amount of work. The different working opportunities are just coming out of every corner if you want to pursue them. Here, you can still have a really decent life. You can fill up a schedule if you're willing to put in the time. And it's still so near to Saigon that you're seeing salaries like this, but it's a much lower cost of living than Saigon.
Yeah. I'm picky with my work these days, man. I've had enough crappy, shitty jobs from China to now, 14 years in Asia, where I have a pretty clear idea what I want. Mm-hmm. And like, I got one school now that gives me hours, but they're just slimy. They're disorganized. They're disheveled. Everybody's miserable. It sucks working there. I'll make a little bit of money. They're fine. All the way up to the one I'm doing most of my hours for. People are pleasant. Boss is great. I'm appreciated. The work is there. It's easy. It's good. No extra. No grading. No. I don't create shit. It's what I want. But to what Jay's saying, if you just want work, if you're like, I'll do anything. You know, I'll eat as much shit as you want for whatever you're willing to pay. Of course, you can fill up a schedule out here.
I see South Africans.
It'll take a little longer than it would in Saigon to put it all together, but it could be done.
Okay, so I've seen like South Africans come out here, and they're more desperate, so they'll still get gobbled up because they're white, but they're in more like hardship positions where if they go back to their country, it's messed up, so they're like willing to take less money, put up with more problems. I've seen some Russians get hired out here. I haven't seen too many black people teaching. Not really.
I don't think I've seen any in town yet.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe here because it's an Airbnb.
Yeah, like here in my building, there's like tourism. So yeah, but I've never seen any that live here.
No.
I'm sure there is somebody, but I've just never seen it. And so most of what I'm seeing around the training centers, like especially dealing with where my lady was working and from what I've seen with Uncle Paul, it's like, you know, you've got a little hodgepodge of different kinds of people. You know, whether or not you need documents or not, I think it really just comes down to whether or not the schools are going to do anything for you. Like, if you have paperwork, maybe they might be willing to do something for you for visa. But if you don't have paperwork, it's unlikely that they're going to do anything for you, and it's more likely that you're going to just be doing tourist visa runs and doing like whatever you do with them in a cash kind of capacity. So there's all different ways this can look for different people who are in different situations, right? You know, I don't encourage people to do anything they shouldn't do, but I just let you know what other people I've seen have done and how they've been successful. And I had mentioned earlier the YALO groups, like that's not a bad thing to pursue out here. You know, even if you're just living out here, it's a lot cheaper than living in the city. You know, there is money here, but don't think it's a paradise, because there's also things about Vung Tau, like it can be very boring. I think the food is better in Saigon.
The people are a little funny.
People are not as nice as Saigon. Saigon is friendlier.
Yeah,
they're nice. They're nice. They're cool, but Saigon is a special kind of nice, man.
I would say
it's warm, you know.
I would say they're not vindictive, but they're not as nice as
they're not all warm.
They're not warm. They're not warm.
Yeah.
You know?
Some of them are, but of course, you know, and like it's Vietnam, people are friendly, but
we've talked about this day to day. You notice a difference.
Yeah, I notice a difference. I think it's less friendly than Ho Chi Minh. That's just my opinion.
I think so.
I think it's less friendly than Ho Chi Minh. Some of the friendliest people I met in this area, I met in Bien Hoa. I forgot. I'm not pronouncing it right, but yeah, that's the city in that's over on the Dong Nai River, and they're booming and developing really fast.
You know what Vung Tau is devoid of, though, is what I've seen is hustlers. You're not mobbed by hustlers on the street. There's no hustlers. There's no riffraff. There's no people like out trying to get shit from you.
Yeah.
That's not, that's absent here, which for the size, I guess, makes sense. But it is something worth mentioning because Saigon there's more to do and the people are friendlier, but there's also a lot of hustlers, like Phnom Penh.
Yeah.
There's hustlers everywhere trying to get your money.
Safety here is not an issue.
No, it's not.
No, even like the pickpocketing on the phones when they go by really quick and steal your phone on the bike, or that doesn't even really happen here too much.
No, it doesn't seem to be an issue here. Really.
It's pretty safe. It's more conservative out here, guys. It's going to be a little bit more closed in some ways and open in other ways. Like, it depends on what circles you move in. If you stay over by where the foreigner streets are, then you'll see like those people are very friendly, very familiar with the foreigners. We go to other parts of town. Like, I've definitely had a few weird experiences with shopkeepers who, even though I speak Vietnamese to them, I didn't get a warm reception from them at all.
Yeah.
Whereas in Saigon, I would have been getting hugs and sitting down. They would have been wanting to buy me beer. Like, it's a completely different energy, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. Like, I still, like, if I came back to stay near Saigon, I would still choose to stay in Vung Tau just because it's healthier and it's still so close to Ho Chi Minh for business. And now with the new airport, it's just going to be even more accessible. But the days of it being a charming little beach city, that's very much over. It's becoming part of the greater Ho Chi Minh Tan Pho. So would you recommend people coming out to check out Little Vung Tau City if they were trying to teach her the Englishes?
Yes, I would. I would recommend, again, if you're the kind of person who, wants a full-time job and wants to just dive right into something like that, go for it. But I would recommend, there's, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 clusters of schools around this city, right? Mm-hmm. Get a little motel, hotel, like you can get a very decent room for a decent price. Get something like that. Go out to a bunch of schools and just start part-time. Because you might be going to a number of different schools, but it's a way to test out which ones you think will work best for you. These schools always, like I said, every school I've been a part of so far, they always need people to fill slots. Mm-hmm. So make yourself available, be that person they can call on to fill slots. And if you find a school you like, try to jockey for more hours over time and go from there, And
it's not going to always be easy. You might need to put in some time. And it's the same if you go to Saigon and like you're trying to like get money. You just should not live in District 1 or District 2 or District 3. You should go live in like Tan Phu or District 12 and then just take work wherever you can get it and just try to maximize what you're getting and just work and cover shifts. And sooner or later people make you offers, but it's just, you have to be willing to do the legwork. And in a place like Vung Tau, you have to be able to kind of delay your gratification because in the long term, it'll be better for you.
Well, and and the thing too is, again, it works to your benefit because it's a way to feel out these schools. Not all teaching jobs are created equal. A lot of them are fucking shit. They'll lie to you. They'll lead you on. They might not pay. Feel them out. If you're working for 4 or 5 different schools, if you're in a cluster, you're going to get a lot of your work in that area anyway. Maybe you got to take a motorbike here and there, but you can get a hands-on feel for whether or not you want to go all in with one of these schools. Because if you go all in with a school, and let's say you go through the whole nightmare work permit piece of shit process that I've gone through before, and then it turns out to be a shitty job, then you're kind of screwed. Now you got to start from square one, right? You got to leave, you got to come back, you got to reestablish again. Test the waters. I like to have my eggs in a lot of different baskets, and I'm not going to settle on just one basket until I'm sure that basket's strong and it's going to last the duration. It's worth having.
So if you guys have a little bit of money to sit on and you want a slower paced life, you want to give it a go, you could always come here, give it a go, and if it doesn't work out or the money doesn't come as quickly as you want it to, you got Dong Nai, you got Saigon. I mean, you got a lot of big markets that are really close to here, so you could always try this, and if it doesn't work out, slide to Saigon, and, we could help you no matter where you go, guys. We know people all over the country, so just reach out to us. Let us know if we can make the process of your relocation easier. Once again, I want to thank Uncle Paul. Uncle Paul has been helpful knowing us, working with us over the years, but there's been some people talking shit about me online. I want to tell you, Uncle Paul's a very old-time client and friend.
Dude, you know what? And I was telling him this earlier. If you have any doubt about this man's work ethic and abilities, let him give you his references. It's a long list, and there's a lot of people willing to say good stuff. Best money I ever spent. I'll tell you that.
Well, thank you.
You better, homie.
Uncle Paul teaches the Englishes to the youth. He teaches them how to speaker the Englishes. So when I was in the public schools, I was teaching the Englishes to the youths. And I was definitely not Ho Chi Minh's best teacher. I say I was, but in reality, I was probably pretty mediocre. But for the most part, everybody had fun. Kids had fun. I had fun. Everybody partied, good times. And then they had to go back to being little robots where they're in public school all day getting yelled at. And like Saigon, guys, like you can get a lot of money in Saigon. You can make your life cheap depending where you live, and you can get a lot of business opportunity. But you know, you're going to give up a lot in terms of health. And little destinations like this, like Vung Tau, where they're starting to develop, it's a kind of a unique place to be positioned. And we can advise you on how to get set up out here. I hope this video has brought you guys some value and give you some insights into teacher in the Englishes out here in Vung Tau, one of my favorite cities in all of Vietnam, not for its beach, but just for its unique character and quirky landmarks. And, you know, the people are cool. Like I said, it's not as friendly as Saigon, but it's still friendly. Like, it's still chill. It's still real easy to get on if you're polite. So, you know, if you need a cool place to be that has an up-and-coming economy and that's in good proximity to all the good hospitals, the airport, you know, Vung Tau is not a horrible place for you to consider. If you guys enjoyed this content, just take a minute out of your day to hit the subscribe button. A lot of you guys who watch the videos are not subscribed. Your big uncle is very disappointed in you. He wants you to hit the subscribe button. It'll make me a very happy bunny. Thank you for watching. Like, share, you know, do all those things.
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Reborn abroad helped me retire in Vietnam.
Reborn abroad got me a job in Vietnam.
Reborn abroad got me a job in Vietnam.
Years later, we're still friends, so hit us up.
Reborn abroad, they're legit. They got me a job. I'm pretty happy.
Reborn abroad got me a job in Vietnam.
Reborn abroad got me a job.
Brush your teeth.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. And we help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.